to you and welcome to Shanghai for live coverage of the Dota 2 Asia Championships 2017, our final series of the day in terms of the main matches, of course, the All-Star game to look forward to as well. But next up, we're going to focus on our last lower bracket match. It's going to trim the field to just 3 teams. We've already seen OG and Vitality, IG go head-to-head with OG advancing to the grand final. The question now we have is who goes through to play IG? Is it Vitality or is it Newbee? 3 Chinese teams and 1 foreign team still in contention for the DAC title. We've changed things up at our panel once more. Welcome back to Fogged and PPD for the first time today alongside Shiva as well. How you doing? Feel good?
Yep, feeling good.
Did you nod off a little? Did you get slept in the last game at all? By the note? Wasn't too long, was it?
The last 20 minutes got a little bit meh.
Yeah, don't want to see too many of them games, do we?
No. I don't think we will either from these 2 teams.
Yeah.
I'm just pretty hyped because we have Paparazzi versus SCCC mid again. So.
Indeed, yes, got a good mid matchup. How you doing, Peter?
I'm good.
Yeah?
All's well.
Enjoying the games?
OG,
for the most part.
I mean, watching OG play is really fun, but I mean, they kind of just do like Alkernaga almost every game, so it's a little resident sleeper, but it's like one of the best ways to play the patch right now.
Yeah. Game 2 as well.
Game 2, yeah. It was good. Game 2 was good. I mean, it was kind of a stomp.
Yeah. But interesting draft, nevertheless. Interesting to see how they counted OG.
They didn't have Alkernaga.
Yeah, that's true. No, you're right.
They changed No-Tail. They changed like the whole like theme of the way No-Tail was supposed to like play. He plays like a Slark, which is, I mean, that hero's really tough to like play from behind. They kind of just ran at him. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. We're going to get into our matchup first. Let's introduce you to our first team, IG Vitality. The only team with a DAC champion left in the competition on their team. The 1v1 champion from yesterday, of course, Paparazzi, IG Vitality, trying to join their sister team in the top 3, but they'll have to get past a very determined Newbee. There we go then, the 2 teams lined up and ready to fight. They will be joining us shortly in the arena as well. We'll start with IG Vitality. And Fog, we'll start with you. In the way that they've played through the tournament, having had such a terrible group stage, did you expect that they would be fighting over this to get into the top 3?
No, definitely not. But I do like the way that they like approach the game and the way they approach this type of draft and the way they adjust to like mid-series. We did see yesterday. There was like the first game, they see the Invoker when they were playing versus Empire, and then they were, they quickly adapted and they're like, okay, this seems to be the trend of the way this series is gonna go. Adapted quickly, went for it, and then it was just good to see the quick adaptation from them. Yeah,
Peter, key players in this one. I mean, Paparazzi would be the first one we'd probably talk about because of the 1v1s, but are there other players that we need to be aware of?
I think Sakata as well from IG.V is a huge influence in their success. I think he might have had like the best tournament so far for IG.V. in terms of like standout performances. I think that he's been very impressive, and I don't think a lot of people expected that from him.
I think since in July he started drafting for IG.V right before the Kiev qualifiers. He has been tremendous for that. And he's only drafted for such a short period of time, and it just fits the team. He knows exactly what to go for. Obviously, they won the qualifiers with that for China qualifiers for Kiev, and here they're doing good as well. And as Fox said, they can adapt really well, which is also credit to draft.
They've had a couple
sure.
of like very decisive draft wins, which is really nice. And it's very relaxing when you go into a draft and you're like, wow, we really outdrafted these guys. And in turn, you have like a relatively easy game. We see a ton of these games are so back and forth and so close, and they go 60 minutes. And yeah, it's nice to just have a nice, easy kind of like game 1 or game 2. And
don't get many of those either,
don't
do you?
get many,
Those tournaments, big tournaments.
Being on the winning side of those is very motivating.
Yeah.
Just like reading kind of the way that their opponent's gonna play, even from like the beginning of it. Like I think you were talking about it, Peter, in one of the games when they did. They let the other team get mag, and they picked like perfect counter picks to it. Like they just were like, we'll let you give it. We'll give it to you this time, but then we have a perfect idea, and that was a complete outdraft that time around.
Yeah, they abuse predictability sometimes, which is really good. I mean,
oh man.
The hugs continue.
Yeah, some love being shown on stage.
How many more memes can we get out of that one?
Adorable.
Yes, absolutely adorable. In terms of Newbee, Peter, we watched them this morning, taking down your guys in blue, and rough for them, I guess. But Newbee played really well in that series.
Newbee coming into this tournament, one of the best Chinese teams. IG, honestly, like, I don't think anybody expected. I mean, you could have expected them to do really well, but it's kind of like burning in a bunch of new guys, right?
They kind of like adjusted. I feel like Burning was starting to get that thing where he was like not really playing so much farming, and he was getting more involved with the lifestealers, and then they just like adapted quickly around him. The team all like maybe picked like a little bit more greedy, and they made him move.
We kind of thought Newbee was like potentially the best Chinese team. Yeah. So really tough team, and I think that they played very well this morning. I think some of the drafting and strategy for EG was like a little bit different than what they've had the most success with in the main stage of this tournament. But I mean, I think that they're the favorites coming in for sure.
There's a particular matchup that excites us in this one, Shiva. Don't think we can pick anything other than mid, can we?
I'm really about to offlane this patch, but sure, let's go for mid. But the mid is difficult because if you say mid, you're not going to have paparazzi there.
No, absolutely.
Yeah,
and it is kind of, we're sort of talking about paparazzi because he can play mid, and he potentially, if they give him his Invoker, he will definitely play mid, you would think. Rather than Cicada. So they've got this interesting setup, haven't they, Vitality, where they can switch these two players out. We've spoken a little bit about that, and Liquid being another team that kind of mixed things up as well.
What mid-heroes has Paparazzi played? I saw
only
the Invoker.
That's what I thought.
Only Invoker.
Wow.
Yes.
Yes.
In
pro play. I mean,
in this pro play.
Outside of that,
I'm sure he's
I think it was something like 40% mid, 48% carry, or round the other way maybe. I don't even remember. But
I think he said in an interview though that he would only play mid if Invoker gets
Invoker. Yeah, if it was Invoker. So specialized.
GH Naga, Paparazzi, Invoker.
Yes.
Yeah, again, it's that one-off kind of hero specialist, right? Which is fine.
Yeah. No, I mean, Invoker and Naga are heroes that takes a little bit of specialization for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. In terms of Newbee, Fogt, do they start this as the favourites, having had a better group stage, having had stronger results through the competition?
Yeah, I feel like they have momentum too, coming after that win from EG. It's pretty massive one. They played really well. KP, like all of them were kind of like carrying their weight. So I think coming into this one, they definitely do, and they know these two teams know each other really well. So that's where it's going to be. We might see like a little mini. We kind of talk about that a bit, but mini meta mid-series.
How did their series go in the group stage?
This one was a 2-0, an easy 2-0 for Newbee.
Oh, well, that's got to say something.
Yes.
We have 3 Group B teams and OG here at the end. Not too surprising, in my opinion.
Yeah, we always said, didn't we, from day one, Group B was the group of death.
Yeah, it's proven it.
Was the tough one to get out of.
Yeah, they had one game against Newbee that kind of started out okay for them, but the other, like game 2 was very one-sided, and then the first game they do okay in the early stage of the game, and I think that is a trend that we've seen from IG.V throughout all their matches. They do okay, and then all of a sudden they just fall off, and Monkey King has a lot to do with that as well. They just are not able to follow through with their aggression they start off on.
I feel like yesterday was kind of like the different story though for IG.V, but that could also be putting some because of the way Empire did play.
That was Empire.
Yeah, because they did struggle a lot in laning phase, and then they just exploded after the 15-minute mark.
I would say IG.V's had like a pretty generous bracket throughout like the main stage of this tournament. They haven't really clashed up a lot against a lot of Group B teams. They've kind of been picking off Group A.
That's pretty true.
Yeah, I mean they came last in their group, and it must have been for a reason as well.
Last place in Group B, top 4 of tournament.
Well, but last place in Group B actually did them a favour because they got picked by LFY for the first round of the lower bracket.
Yes.
So
they had a little bit of an up there. Let's put it
a little bit.
Like
yeah, could have been
a big one.
Could have been really bad, couldn't it, in terms of where they finished? You finished last in the group. You expect to play a formed team, Peter.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Like Group A was like meh. So like third place of Group A was honestly like probably even weaker. I mean, it's proven that it's weaker than Group B.
Yeah.
luck of the draw.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a certain element of luck in brackets, but
it's fine. I think we have the top 4 teams of this tournament in the top 4.
Do you? I was going to ask you that question.
I don't know about. It's hard to say overall. It's always hard to say who's the best team and who's top 3. But the 4 best teams that have played the best this week are here at the here at the end.
Yeah, these teams have definitely played the more consistent, like better Dota than the ones that are
teams obviously close to that Empire, EG.
Yeah, and maybe if Empire would have another chance at IG.V, they could take the series. Maybe if EG had the opportunity to play against IG.V, they could have beaten them.
Yep.
But that's just kind of the way the bracket goes, and that's why we did the group stage to determine seeding.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Play better in groups if you want to go further in the tournament, Sheena.
I mean, it sounds so simple.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, play better if you want to get further. I think that's a wise lesson for everybody out there.
I think I just came out with a Ben Wu. I think I just did a Ben Wu on
the best teams can't win every tournament. That's I mean, that's the great thing about Dota is everyone is, we're all like pretty close, and there's so many teams that everybody wants it. It's not like oh, you're here at this tournament and you just kind of went, oh, I just want to get top 3. Everybody wants to be the best.
Yes.
There's so many teams that can do it. And OG looking like the clear favorites of this tournament. They've been a lot of favorites in other tournaments, and they haven't necessarily won every tournament. They've won a lot.
Yeah. They usually win when they're not favorites.
Yeah, I think it's getting to the point where OG's favorites coming in about every tournament.
Yeah.
God said this earlier. It still feels sometimes teams underrate them. As if they just forget. Oh yeah, OG. Yeah, they're playing really well.
Not Parker.
No.
Parker's always just like, OG.
Yeah.
Biased.
Yeah. Always biased.
For the Australian, of course.
Yeah. But they do seem to be. Sometimes they just people forget about them somehow. I don't know how. Yet they're probably the best team in the world right now. Favorites of the majors headed in.
Yeah, I would say so.
All right, we'll see. There's a lot of tournament left.
I was baiting him. He nearly took it.
They still got to win a best of 5, and we're going to see who wins here, and then we're going to see who take on IG. I think IG was really close.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be tough for either of these 2 teams to go up against IG. But I personally think that Newbee will most likely take this series. I'm not sure how close it'll be, but then IG versus Newbee tomorrow is going to be. IG potentially versus Newbee tomorrow will be super hype, and I think that one of those teams will have a little bit better of a game plan up against OG.
Okay.
And
so you think over the course of this series, Newbee have the advantage?
I believe so. I think they have the better players. I think they have the more experience, and I think that they've had harder matches throughout this tournament and have really pushed themselves with this kind of interesting meta that we've seen develop throughout this DAC.
Would you say that they're more versatile as well, a bit compared to IG.V?
I don't know if versatility is like really a huge thing right now. I think that there's a kind of like a set standard amount of heroes, and it's kind of like a back and forth chess match about which ones you pick versus others, and which heroes counter which, and then it comes down to gameplay and tempo and style.
I mean, arguably the least versatile team in draft has been IG, and they've been through the top bracket, and now they're sitting in the top 3 guaranteed.
I think it's fine. I think IG and OG they've picked a lot of similar heroes. We saw. OG, for example, turned to Visage, yet again, and turned to Earth Spirit, and look, Naga and Alchemist once again. I mean, you just play what is kind of the best, and you play what gives you the best opportunity to win, and you just run with it.
Have a couple substitutes like for each hero. It seems like that's exactly what they're all doing. Yeah, like IG, it's like okay, Lina, Ember, Tinker. There you go for the mid.
Yeah.
You look at OG, it's like okay, we have Terrorblade, Naga, or Alchemist. Yeah, it's pretty similar.
Throw in a few others here and there when they need to as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get a little creative from time to time, but
just to throw the other teams off.
For the most part, play your own game, play to your strengths, and if it's not good enough to win, it's not good enough to win. Back to the drawing board. Get ready for the next tournament.
So I had a discussion before the tournament started about how it could be very beneficial if you're in the better group, because generally if you're in a better group, you're up against better teams, so the meta in the group is evolving faster than the meta in the lesser group. And this is very far-fetched.
That's a pretty meta conversation you're asking to have.
I did.
That's mini meta, that is.
But I'm just curious to hear your take on that, because obviously we have a Group B matchup, which I feel have 2 very different playstyles and also develop differently in this tournament purely due to the difference in opponents.
Okay. Well, it's tough to say because only OG is left.
Yes.
So it's hard to say. So you're saying that the meta in Group B is more developed than it was in Group A?
Yes. Because you have tougher opponents, you learn more from tougher opponents, therefore you play better.
Well, in that case, IG Vitality have learned an awful lot because they lost a lot.
Yeah, but then IG Vitality also had the easier bracket, so therefore maybe not learning as much from their opponents.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So you think they're even at a greater disadvantage because of that?
Yes, because Newbee has faced, in my opinion, the better teams.
Sure.
Yeah.
I totally agree. I think that Newbee has the patch figured out a bit more, but
It's a difficult
I don't think
call to
IG.V is
make.
that far behind. Based on, I think a lot of the reasons why they're where they are is because they've learned the patch and they've kind of used that against some of the weaker teams who maybe hadn't necessarily learned the patch as well as they have.
Oh, that's fair enough.
And it also comes down to players, Peter, doesn't it? Some players have taken to the newer
Like
Monkey King, for instance, really brilliantly, and it's a meta pick as well. And then other teams haven't quite adapted to that
And
yet.
Paparazzi and Sakata are playing very good core positions, very strong meta heroes, and they've had a ton of success. And if you put the good players on the proper heroes, it makes the game pretty easy.
It does indeed. Not sure how long we've got until the draft. We're just waiting for the draft to get underway. But let's take a quick social media question in the meantime. The latest one is, in what way have the new patches favoured CN teams? Fogged? Or have they? Have they?
It's
I guess
I think they're probably basing that on the fact that we've got 3 of the top 4 here.
Maybe
but we
because
did start out with a lot more.
they've had more experience on the new patch. They've been playing like DPL and everything, playing against each other, trying to like work stuff out and maybe getting a little bit more of the understanding before people. But
does it help that they're very inventive in China, Peter? And they've had a lot of qualifiers recently, a lot of matches where they've been able to play some of the top teams in the region against each other and learn faster potentially. I mean, you mentioned EG suffer a little bit in North America because
that's what
maybe
I was
the meta
say.
isn't working quite
I
so
half
quickly.
expected to come on this panel and you'd be like, oh, what's wrong with EG? Like, why they but no, I don't think they're as inventive as some of these Chinese teams have been. So I think it's, they kind of, especially when the meta is like, I mean, it's almost to the point where you expect these heroes to be in every game kind of a thing. So it's the people that kind of push that and take it, pick the new hero or like kind of take the meta to the next level, which is most likely, I feel like it's been the China teams for the most part. OG to some extent. I think OG is kind of playing in their own style, which has been working for them for like a year and a half. And they've made it work in this patch. But China's been playing kind of like the new meta. And I think like the teams that like EG who are a little less inventive, I think they kind of like copycat a bit, which is fine. It's like that's one of EG's greatest strengths is they're able to look at other teams play, especially like they have a week group stage or like a weekday one, and then they see what everyone else is doing and they take it and they do it better. Didn't necessarily happen today, but I feel like that's what China has done really well is they've kind of figured out the meta and they've refined it.
So for them, it's actually very sad because Kiev is 3 weeks, 4 weeks,
2.5 weeks away, I think. Yeah, something like that. Not far away now.
I think we'll see. I think we're going to see a patch by like the end of before the weekend.
You would think so, wouldn't you?
Because
so.
If they have just they're right now the king of the patch, bar OG. Everybody's going to figure them out. Everybody is going to play it better than them. Come Kiev, that would be a shame.
They become team secret from TI5.
They peak too early.
That's the beautiful thing about Dota. Even if there isn't a patch, and even if like, the meta is so stale, people will always be inventing because they need to push it to the next level. And a great example is TI4. Everyone was like, the TI4 like grand finals are so bad. Like the meta is so stale. It's just Razor, Viper, Furion, Venomancer, like just push kind of a thing. And even after TI4, there wasn't a huge balance patch. And the very next tournament, the meta was entirely different.
Everyone was just like trying new different heroes and everything.
We had a long patch last year, didn't we, as well? There was a long meta last year, and it
evolved
evolved all the way through.
It constantly changes.
Right, let's get into our draft.
People start experimenting. It's like
they do. No experimentation here so much in the first bans. It doesn't look like. Fairly straightforward.
Bans are pretty straightforward. First pick Juggernaut is very new though.
A Baden first phase ban, fairly new as well.
After the success they had versus
Actually,
EG.
right,
I mean, that's still.
Yeah, the Magnus, the Invoker, the Leicester, pretty what we've come to expect.
Kind of a soft counter to Juggernaut as well. Just kind of absorb most of that Omni Slash.
Interesting. So IG Vitality go for the Juggernaut first pick, leaving the Monkey King for Newbee to take.
Because they know they can still pick up their Spirit if they really want to anyway.
He's good for those like natural roamers in a way too. He's just a very strong, solid laner. I think like the Invoker and the Jug. I mean, it's hard. It's really weird to say the Jug can be someone's like best hero, but I think the Invoker and the Jug are two of like Paparazzi's really standout heroes. At least for me, his Jug performance in one of the games was pretty ridiculous.
They were like almost about to lose that series, and Paparazzi's Jug kind of brought it back.
Yeah, like he goes for the split push potential.
He's the silver edge Juggernaut.
Silver edge Jug. He split push, takes a Rax trade, gets a silver edge, and then like he literally just exploded the game apart. So seeing them just try to secure his hero early, it kind of makes sense to me at least.
Do you think it's a good idea?
Especially because 2 of his heroes are already
Not sure if it's a good idea, but
I don't think it's a good idea. I think first pick Juggernaut is a little scary for me. I like seeing Juggernaut like when there's like an early Earth Spirit pick or an early Invoker pick. Potentially even like an early Lifestealer pick. Juggernaut could be okay, but just a straight up first pick. I mean, Monkey King and Vengeful Spirit both, I think, pretty good against Juggernaut.
Yeah. Do you think that's like kind of what they were thinking though? Like they probably wanted to secure his hero,
they just take Batrider into Avenge.
To Avenge.
All right. Well, that's in July, the drafter. That's his hero, so he seems confident in that matchup. It's pretty good against Monkey King.
Yep. Being able to at least spot him out, cut the trees as well easily, knock him out of there. Good initiator as well. You're able to pull him out of his ulti if you're able to get positioning. But yeah, picking it into Avenge is a little bit
alarming. But we'll see what they got.
Confident though.
It's one of his best heroes.
Yeah.
I mean, and July's been kind of crushing it on Batrider. So.
Hey, Vengeful Spirit or not, I'm gonna own this game. That's what that says.
Warlock banned from Newbee. Some team fight that could bolster IG.V's lineup. It's a pretty good combination with Batrider. Generally, Bat jumps in, lassos the target, starts pulling him back. The other team kind of like, oh shit, he's lassoed. Like, let's go save him. They kind of group up. Warlock comes in with the big rock, and team fight is won.
And last night, especially, I mean, probably just like Super's performance from the Warlock too. That like instead of going for Fatal Bonds, goes for upheavals. Just like little things maybe influencing.
Yeah, we forgot to mention Super a bit in the pregame, but I think he's been playing one of the most solid 5s of this tournament.
Yeah.
I've been, you know, as a position 5 player myself, I'm very, very critical of other position 5s, and like I've been very critical of Faith. I think that his positioning this tournament has not been particularly good. But Super, I don't think I've had a poor word to say about in this entire tournament.
Is Crystal Maiden and Warlock particularly?
Yeah.
Crystal Maiden, Warlock. I think he played a Disruptor the other day.
He did. I do find I notice it more on a Disrupt or on a Warlock and a CM, because that gets punished so hard if you're a little bit out of position.
Warlock especially. That hero. I mean, you have one job. Get your ultimate off.
Actually, was it Super that was the Upheaval King?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was on last night.
It was extraordinary.
So you just stand there, win the team fight.
Silencer
band versus the Batrider combo. The Chinese have really been favoring.
Yeah, Silencer Bat combo is such an old combination.
Yeah.
I remember getting cheesed out of a DreamHack by Alliance in a best of 1. I was like, we showed up to DreamHack, we went 0-1, 0-1, and we were just on our last place. Grim times.
Brutal. So Nick's ban, Legion Commander, good. I mean, it seems like in July is just trying to have himself a bit of a better game, and since he's already playing versus Avenge. Two innately good heroes versus it, and Legion Commander is good versus the Jug as well.
Yeah, it's always nice to have strong laners against Batrider. It's one of like the strengths I think that people oftentimes look at heroes like Lifestealer and Legion Commander, because you can take off that sticky, which is very nice. They could potentially do like Weaver. Weaver's still a great hero to lane against Batrider. You kind of want a hero, especially with possibly Avenge support. He's not the greatest at zoning out of Batrider in the early game, so picking some sort of self-sufficient laner to go up against the Batrider might work out really well for them. And Weaver's all right versus Juggernaut too.
Yeah, pretty good.
You can get the healing ward pretty easily.
It's good with Monkey King too in fights, like the swarm inside with like Monkey King all going around. There's just so much stuff going on in the fights. It's pretty disastrous. And okay, well,
the Alchemist.
The Alchemist.
There it is.
Yeah.
The Gold Creator.
Does IG.V go for the Lina? Or do they want to go for something more scaling versus Alk?
Do you want to match Greed with Greed, or you want to go for aggression?
I think you still could potentially put the Juggernaut mid and then look for something else. We've seen Morphlings match up against Alchemist quite a lot, and Morphling's been a hero that's been very hit or miss this tournament, but I still think it's a pretty good matchup for Alchemist as long as you're able to secure laning phase from Morphling. We saw earlier from EG, they picked the Morphling against Alchemist, but Morphling was totally shut down in laning phase and just really didn't come online at like any time to really, or fast enough to deal with an Alchemist.
Yeah. I feel like Monkey King might put like instill a little bit of fear to picking Morphling, right? Just because of how much he can move around.
Yeah, Monkey King's super strong in lane, so I would be worried about IG.V picking weak laners and not being able to apply any kind of pressure versus the Alchemist. But Juggernaut, Earth Spirit, some really strong lane pressure. You can definitely pressure Alchemist between like levels 1 to 4. I think once Alchemist is level 5, he doesn't really have to lane anymore if he doesn't want to. He just kind of retreats to that jungle, farm up with the Iron Talon.
Gives them, like, if they want as well, they can do like the Batrider Earth Spirit, like Force experience in the off lane. Same thing, like strong lane. Put pressure.
Vengeful Spirit is such a miserable zoning hero.
Oh, yeah. And versus Batrider, your turn rate's miserable.
You can't do anything against Batrider, and if an Earth Spirit rolls on top of you too, you're most likely going to die. And
so the Weaver does come out.
Good
Weaver,
call. Man. Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
with the Alchemist too, so the Aghanims as well makes it pretty ridiculous versus Batrider. Always be able to Weaver.
They'll have
time
Venge
lapse.
swap, and they'll have potentially the Weaver Ags to save Alchemist as he's sieging those buildings.
And they have a lot of minus armor.
Yeah.
That was like crazy to watch earlier. No-Tail on the Vengeful Spirit with the Aghanims upgrade. Just constantly Alchemist goes in with Chemical Rage, smacks the tower a couple times. They go on out, swaps them out. Yep. Heals the full with Rage and Warlock heal. So really cool kind of Ags strategy usage there.
Okay, so Newbee go back for the Weaver.
Yep. Big fan of that pick. Like it a lot. He's going to be able to lane up against that Batrider solo and allow Venge to, he doesn't have to have the biggest impact in the laning phase.
All right, so how is IG Vitality going to deal with this? Because what I'm hearing is Newbee is winning this draft.
Oh, well, they should pick their other support hero now. We'll see with it. A position 5 for Super. I think that they could... Disruptor is
pretty decent.
It's okay. Vengeful Spirit, I think, has always been a nice hero against Disruptor because you can just swap someone out of the ultimate.
Tend to favor the,
they go for it anyway.
CM, but they are going to go for the Disruptor.
But it's going to help them in team fight. It's going to give them some lockdown for Weaver. It's not a bad tool for hunting down the Monkey King.
More team fight.
Yeah, it's good. It's a solid pick. They're definitely winning in the team fight department. If Batrider manages to get a lasso on somebody and Vengeful Spirit isn't close enough to swap, team fights will most likely go in IG.V's favor, considering the farm is relatively even.
Yeah.
All right, so what do those last heroes need to do?
Looking for an off lane for KPII and a mid or a carry for IG.V. I would most likely guess that Juggernaut's going to go mid. Up against the Alchemist is a pretty good matchup for him.
Yeah.
With our Spirit as well, yeah.
So they'll get a last pick up here against Weaver. I'm not sure what they would take. It's there's not like, what do you think are some like heroes that you would want to play as a carry against a Weaver?
I was thinking they might actually go for the OD, but it actually does get banned out. Just if they did decide to go for the Jug, but other carry heroes.
That's true. They could also just put Juggernaut in the safe lane and do a different mid hero.
Anything that particular
Nothing really stands
pairs
out.
up nicely
We
against
we could still see the Morphling. It's not awful. I mean, it's pretty decent against Weaver. You get a lot of burst damage with E-Blade. But
feels like it's not aggressive enough somehow.
I'd just be a little worried for the lane. That's all. Like Disruptor, Morph, or Spirit. I guess it's
absolutely, definitely a concern.
It's a little bit weak if they do want to go for that. But
there's a couple times I've seen in the drafts, especially today, is like the team with the last pick really just doesn't have like a great last pick hero.
Yeah, we saw like IG just like we're like, all right, we're gonna pick the Lifestealer, and it's like we're versus Naga and TA as Lifestealer. It's just like they felt kind of like forced because there was not really any better no real options.
Surely there's good options for KP still.
For KP, yeah, I mean there's still
he's gonna
lots
have
of
last pick. So. Sand King banned out. I believe we still have a Centaur in the pool if he wants to.
Yeah, some more lockdown for Newbee would definitely be nice.
Yeah.
Ooh, nah, he wouldn't. But Omni Knight would be cool.
I feel like no one's touching that hero. He's like,
he's an alright Midas hero. He's got an experience gain, doesn't he?
Does have an experience gain talent.
But he's not super strong. And I've seen a couple of Monkey King drafts that really struggle with initiation. So I really like when the 3 position is playing a Centaur or a Sand King or a Slardar or something.
Oh, that's a new one, but that's also could be the matchup versus the Alchemist. That's something to
I think that's most likely the matchup versus the Alchemist.
Yeah. Good versus Monkey King as well. Go for the catch. Gives him more fight, more burst.
That's a nice and cool pick. I mean, I wasn't exactly sure what they would pick there, so kind of doing something a little bit different than most teams and kind of stepping outside of the box is really cool to see. Timbersaw is an awesome hero to watch.
And get the Slardar.
It works well with Batrider too, because they were kind of lacking burst inside of the Batrider life, so they have like Omni Slash, but now Timber gives them that nice like burst to be able to bring someone down quickly.
A lot of damage, some semi-carry. He does a lot of damage against Weaver, and he can also deal with the Alchemist illusions.
Yeah.
I still favor Newbee.
I was going to say, I was
favoring Newbee. My prediction's Newbee, for sure.
Yeah. Really? So you're no problem at all with it?
I think they're the better team, and I think they have a really solid draft that totally fits in the meta. I think Slardar offlane is a little questionable, but this is a China versus China game. The meta is always different than everything else.
Okay, so Newbee for Peter. Fogged, which way?
I'm going to also side with Newbee. I like their amount of, like the Midas Armor they have built up as well. They have good tower pressure. We mentioned the Ags for like the Weaver as well. For the Alchemist, I think they're going to be able to siege pretty well. I think In July is probably going to have a bit of a rough game.
Okay, are we getting 3 out of 3 here?
Yeah, you are. Yeah,
okay.
I'm going for Newbee as well, I think.
Yeah.
They have I think they have the better draft, and they are the better team.
Okay. Fairly boring predictions up here on the analyst panels, so it happens from time to time. And whatever we do, we are going to have our first game just around the corner. Let's go back to our commentary team. They've changed things up down there as well. It's now Malini and Toby 1. It's all yours, boys.
Thanks, Red. Don't worry, it's boring up there at the panel. We've got Malini down here.
I'm with IG.V. I think
You're with IG.V?
Newbee have drunk too much of the Alchemist Kool-Aid. Okay, and now they're like, oh man, Alchemist is unbeatable. Especially after
We're
watching
always
last
wondering
series.
what was in that concoction. It was Kool-Aid and something else. Yeah, but it looked good. Like the Timbersaw pickup came in. It's like, okay, well maybe this matchup it's not what you're expecting to come up. We're talking like Ember
dude,
Spirits,
it's
talking
great.
IDs. It's
I hope Paparazzi's playing it though, but I don't think he will be.
well, just because you want to have the SC and Paparazzi like marriage lane back together again.
I think Timbersaw has a much higher skill cap than Juggernaut too. So you want your best player playing the hardest hero.
One way to look at it, man. I can't wait to look into the game as we're going to head in and see how it's all going to roll out. The Slaughter was the last pickup from Newbee.
Oh, it is Paparazzi on the Timbersaw.
It is?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's going to happen.
This is good.
We're probably more excited about this because we got to cast that 1v1 matchup, and it was such a beautiful time. That puck versus puck matchup. We're just going to keep the camera on mid only from now on out.
Change that carry to mid and change that mid to carry. Things have changed. Paparazzi has inspired his team.
Flexibility
I'm
is
the
there.
best mid in the world. Let me go mid, guys. You can't say no to that.
Yeah.
Can't say no, you aren't.
I've got a trophy and a check to prove it, boys. Like, you have to let me go in there. At the same time, the rest of the IG.V lineup was like, we were telling you what to do the entire time, helping you to win this one.
It's also, I also think that Paparazzi probably suggested this hero. Because they're like, okay, Paparazzi, do you want to go mid? He's like, oh, yeah, sure, I can own this elk with, what do you want? Timbersaw.
What a surprise with aggressive maneuvering. It is going to be the Monkey King bouncing himself around, trying to find a quick little jump in. So Kaka on the tree line. Dogfights will walk in range. It's a rolling boulder forward. There's your stun from Faith. KP, follow-up crush. A little bit too far away from it now. Goes for the crush, but it's only on Cicada, who's able to just fall back, and we go back towards the rune. So aggressive maneuver, but no joy really coming from it. Not for Newbee at least, but they are going to commit themselves in to running this three-man off lane. And we get the we get the mid. Paparazzi versus SC. SC's got a point to prove with this lane down.
That's a pretty easy lane for Timber. Very easy. You want high armor hero mid. You occasionally see Terrorblade mid versus Alchemist just because you don't take any damage from the acid spray and reactive is very similar.
Dogfight's clipped himself for the moment. Kaka wants to keep him there, so he's going to jump in and try and man mode this. With the help of Faith, they may just have enough damage, but it's Hill on Hill, who really is the king. Dogfight with a very fire committal. It's going to be Dogfight taking the first blood. A full-on fight. Faith does not have enough mana for another stun just yet. KP, if you can keep the distance in close, even then, there goes your crush. Keep the vision around the tree line. Go at the tower. TP support's coming in from the Earth Spirit, but KP will pick up a double kill on the offlane, but it's not going to stop there. Dogfights rolling boulders forward, and Faith, Cicada, he actually cut his way through the tree line. KP has to commit the mango to get the crush off and keep that Juggernaut away. He's able to do so.
That's actually really unfortunate for the Monkey King. He has poor man shield. He should easily win that man fight, but he had the trolls right-clicking him the whole time. And they buffed the damage type of the troll. I think if it were the old piercing damage, he would have lived easily. So that is, yeah, that's not good for old Monkey King. But they are still 2 kills up.
And 2 kills up for Newbee and money going into KP. So he'll be able to afford his boots nice and early.
Dogfights. Is he going to try and steal this bounty rune? Alchemist, 2 minutes in.
I think they're looking back up towards the top lane for a fight. He's going to roam in through the back, and it's only 2-on-3 this time around, but Dogfights doesn't really have the positioning. He left the Observe Ward a little bit further down, and yeah, he's going to rolling boulder forward and take the bounty rune.
Yeah, you got to prevent Alk from getting all these bounty runes. It looks like Monkey King is headed down bottom. Is he just going to sit there and wait for the bounty rune? That's going to be a long wait for him. So they don't even give Alk any of the bounty runes, and he has a tough matchup in the mid lane.
SC is 100% focused on staying in the mid with Paparazzi.
Yes, he has 13-5 to 6-1. Looks like our 1v1s yesterday.
How do you even stop it? Like, maybe this is one way to do it. The
Stack,
Monkey King's
farm,
going for a roam. He's looking for potentially the courier. But Paparazzi is waiting as long as he can. That courier is just sitting in front of the tier 3 tower, not budging an inch. It's got the boots. Nothing else on it, but it needs another 20 seconds before she can fly.
The thing is, he doesn't even need any items on the Timbersaw. You can just own with just a poor man shield.
It's like, let me fly out regeneration. Oh, wait, no, there's reactive armor, which makes me more powerful than anything.
The Alchemist Kool-Aid, man. So they are stacking. That's That's what you need to do. It's going to be a really rough lane, so SEC is stacking himself. We see Faith and KP on the left side also stacking, and they probably need to start feeding him TP scrolls so he can double bounty as well. You'll see that pretty commonly. Alchemist gets the bottom one, TP's at the top shrine, gets the other one, and then proceeds to do his stacks with his soul ring and whatnot. Alchemist actually committing for a poor man shield quite early too. That's not...
This is his only way to get the farm back, right? He has to go into the jungle to do it.
Yeah.
You mean that like that over Iron Talon?
No, that over Stout into Iron Talon, because he doesn't have that much gold to work with.
And so he goes for both. Looks like top bounty rune. A little bit of an issue for KP on the run. Dogfights and super. The kick will be perfect, and KP not enough life to survive that. So good rotation in from IG.V.
They're
able to find him.
They're already controlling a pretty good area of the map right now. Like, that top bounty is not safe at all, and they have no vision up there. Slaughter doesn't even feel that safe jungling in that area.
The only lane which is currently working is the bottom lane for Newbee, and that's 22 for 8. So the CS is good for the Weaver. If the Alchemist can play catch-up and the Weaver gets big, potentially gets funneled an Aghanim Scepter too, then you do have that other issue of IG.V. Like, you focus down one target and then anyone can be time-lapsed.
I'm worried about him just being able to get a Radiance, let alone Ags.
Yeah, I'm thinking too far ahead for you.
And now he's trying to get top bounty rune, isn't going to be able to sweep at SCCC, runs right into In July.
Yeah, they're battling top lane. That's where KP's going to fall down again.
It's already forced to pop his haste. At least he will get one, but it's not looking that great. I think Weaver is good versus Bat, but it's terrible versus Earth Spirit and not good versus Disruptor.
The Sentry was just an inch too far away. They threw down. Actually, you know what? It's not. It's actually going to be on it. I just thought with the pounce up, he did it for the Observer Ward. But IG.V may have actually scanned that Observer Ward as opposed before they de-warded the Obs of Dire.
Dude, what is that gear-looking Observer Ward? Huh, I don't think I've seen that before.
Yeah.
And I'm a cosmetics guy. Sad thing is, I think I care more about cosmetics in game than in real life. I'm like the antithesis of Charlie.
But you also, you dress up.
Yeah, I dress up.
You balance life at in-game.
One of my favorite things from TI, last TI, was when they called him evil. It's like, oh yeah, he could be a mob boss.
Oh, paparazzi, really? He's getting up in the face of KP, and he knows he can.
They cannot deal with Timber at all. Amplify is okay, but he's going to have max reactives quite soon. He actually went for a more offensive build too with the 2 in Whirling Death, not the 1-1-3 that is so commonly seen. Because no one's really going to be pressuring him. He needs to be able to kill the Alchemist, and having that extra point for that pure damage is quite important versus Chemical Rage. Yeah,
and I'm watching like KP cutting away those trees in the mid. It's like he's waiting for the Timber Chain to come forward. So the only way he can stand in close is to make sure he doesn't get caught in that Timber Chain of Paparazzi.
And Paparazzi can also chop down a lot of trees against the Monkey King. Natural enemies.
And you get the Flying Vision against the Monkey King from the Bat Rider, plus the kicking which comes in from the Earth Spirit. So yeah, this shouldn't be an easy Monkey King game.
No trees will be spared.
Greenpeace will have many complaints about this match.
All they're missing is like Iron Talon plus Battle Fury plus Iron Talon on the jug.
All right, jump forward. In July, just hanging around a little bit longer. With the Scarab Beetles, In July's going to lose a lot of his armor, but they need the slow, they need the extra stun, and Kaka, he'll provide it, but it's a little too late, especially when Newbee, Kaka and U9 having to run through the Firefly. So like U9 already triggers off his time-lapse and gets back.
One Napalm was enough to dissuade them. Napalm's still very difficult to deal with.
KP's happy to come back up to this top lane. The tier 1 tower's been brought down. The Wave of Terracleave pulled the creep wave off the tower a little bit, but the damage has been done from IG.V. 7 minutes in, you already have that top tower down to 1/3 of his HP.
Get that Aquila and start pushing.
Well, they already have it on the Juggernaut.
Yep. It's a good plan. Shut down Alk's jungle, steal stacks if you can, prevent access to at least one of the bounty runes, and most importantly, take T1s.
Yeah, that fear I had as well for Newbee's Observer Ward, like it was already de-warded out, and IG.V already keep their own Observer Ward up, watching for Alchemist to back out and start farming again.
Dude, the phase boost is very interesting on Alk.
Is he? Do you just go? He's going armlet straight away. Like so, like obviously that's nothing unusual, but does he still go? Like, is Radiant still the play here, or do you build almost like a more combat style Alchemist if he's going to go phase boots? Or is phase boost just ST's way of keeping his distance from Paparazzi?
It might just be, you'll see Medusas get phase boots, and Trez generally do more damage in team fights, but phase is really nice for traveling in between camps. which is definitely not to be underrated. And it's not like Alchemist is going to be like, oh man, I got to sell this gold, sell this later. My 1,500 gold investment, I'm going to lose so much out on. That doesn't happen with Alchemist. So I think it's actually not even that much. It's like, what, 1,300, 1,200 gold? So yeah, I think
that's nothing for an Alchemist.
It is nothing. But if you think you're going to get your BOTs really late, you'll get a lot of value out of the phase boots. So I think it's nice that he's not going full greed. Although as I say that, he has max greed.
Well, enough that he's able to capitalize on it. And IG's not really pressuring him any more than just having a really good laning phase. So IG are happy to accept the status quo. They're going to bring down this T1 tower, and that's probably when we'll start to see IG.V's movement, where the priority comes for them. Because you've still got U9 farming up in that bottom lane. He's not looking too terrible on money. Like he's 500 net worth sitting behind the Juggernaut, which is his opposite one. And now that distance will be increased slightly with the last hit on the tower.
And Batrider is getting a lot more than his counterpart. That is the only core matchup that we see kind of out of whack.
The Blink versus Blink timings.
Yep. And he doesn't have to get the Iron Talon that the Slaughter has to invest in. KP not even going for the Tranquils.
At least goes for this one as a nice little maneuver. Uses the Iron Talon to take the aggro on the creep wave. The Radiant Scan will actually scan the movement of IG.V coming off the top lane and into the mid. So IG.V definitely want to really shut this down. If they can take both these Tier 1 towers before the 10-minute mark, Alchemist is going to start to get throttled up, but the movement's coming over from Newbee. All 5 heroes converging on the mid. They should have fortification. Now Kaka jumping in for the stun. He won't really hit on anybody. He actually throws the stun, connecting on Dogfights, who's up on top of the hill, but it's Sakata who's going to be the one to go down. Trying to spin underneath the tower. Newbee will end up denying the mid-tier 1 tower as well.
Swap was used and a lot of space created for Injuly. Injuly very close to his Blink Dagger timing, just 150 gold. He was not present in that fight, and for good reason. And now is where things start to get a little bit more heated for Newbee. How do they actually stave off this Earth Spirit, this Batrider, who are surely just going to smoke up and try to take control of the jungle, with the Timber Saw just being that big fat machine in the lanes that is unkillable?
That's the ultimate question. It's the reason why Slaughter is here. It's the reason why Newbee have to be really on point for their positioning, and a lot of that's probably going to come through vision. See these ganks coming in from Invictus Gaming. But at the moment, IG.V, again, their wards still hold beautifully, so they watch both of the bottom runes. They have eyes into the mouth of the Roshan pit. And any heavy lane rotation should also be scattered out by just those 2 observer wards they have on the river.
And they have 3 heroes mid just like looking at the Timber Saw. It's like, I know you're here, but we cannot kill you at all. Please go away now.
You do. Interrupt Timber Chain. Like
Lasso on the bottom lane. KP gets slaughtered by Juggernaut. Oh my god. I don't know if they needed to use Omni Slash there, but that was the Blink reveal, and KP's probably like, oh crap, he has Blink already. Things are not looking good.
The fact there's also no reaction from Newbee scouts out the fact of what we're watching, which was Newbee smoking up towards the top lane, but pouncing over the tree lines. Should be able to reveal, in fact, it does now reveal Dogfight, so the quick stun into the second with the jump down, and U9 able to get the last on that. So with the creep wave coming up towards the tower, Newbee can do a little bit of tower damage back the other way, but then having a lot of damage done to the Tier 1 tower on bottom lane, while Paparazzi still controls the mid. And in fact, they will be losing that Tier 1 tower on bottom lane.
SCCC was trying to farm up that Ancients, but he's actually quite scared. That is not a safe place for him to farm. Like, what camps can they realistically farm without fear of dying right now? It's just very, very few. And now they're trying to open up the Diary Jungle, which I think is a very important move by Newbee.
Unai is not certain. He actually needs to hang around here. They need the gold from the tower. Denying up the catapult's not really going to work because the tower's already within deny range, and okay, they'll have to let it go. Yet again, another tower being denied up.
Yeah, so now the general move is to swap jungles. You get Alchemist to farm in the opposite lane, and then you kind of have just supports leech. But IG.V are unrelenting when it comes to pushing down these T2s. Sakata is just still beating on this T2 with no response from Newbee.
Nope. But what are they meant to do? U9 is not ready to fight. Alchemist isn't ready to fight. Until that Radiant is up, he doesn't want to be involved in engagement. So it's on Kaka, who's able to get the initial stun. Now the jump forward, the Beatles are coming in, but they're not really going to hit on anyone. In fact, in July, swapped back out, and the Wukong's command from Kaka, it just creates a space. IG.V cannot get close enough to help out that Batrider, so they accept the fate. He goes down, U9 finds himself yet another kill.
Sentry Ward was placed a tiny bit too late. It does see the Observer Ward, but It was only after he got Boundless struck. So Alchemist quest for Radiance, maybe what, 3, 4, 5 minutes at this pace, depending on bounty runes and stacks and whatnot. And looks like they haven't been able to ward any of the camps. So this is pretty important for Newbee, that IG.V don't actually have vision. They have to smoke or scan or move together as a big pack in order to identify this Alchemist. And it looks like they are going to start smoking right now. In July does TP up. There are 4 men at the shrine. And boom, let's find Alchemist.
Yep. The Observer Ward already saw him, so they're headed directly towards the Ancients. Thanks to the fact that Alchemist didn't actually stack the Ancient. Actually, no, he did actually get the stack off. But he doesn't stick around for the fight. Everyone's missing. Radiant scanned perfectly on IG.V's movement. And SC goes home.
They need to be able to get wards down in this jungle, though. Like, they aren't able to kill the Alchemist, but still, you want to kill him at least, I would say, 1 time before the Radiance comes out would be pretty nice for them.
Well, if it's possible. Right now, SC's not giving him the opportunity. It's U9 who's getting the space up on top lane. He's actually approaching the tier 2 tower while IG.V are approaching their tier 2 tower. And directly into Lincoln Sphere for U9. An essential item to make sure he can try and potentially survive the Batrider engagement. But Disruptor can throw a spanner into that, works quite easily.
And Earthspear. Earthspear does not give any hoots about Lincolns. And you don't really want to use the defensive swap on the Weaver because you want to save it for the Alchemist. That is their only save.
Rolling Boulder, it's going to be the silence already. MKP, oh, it's actually not KP, it's going to be Kaka. Trapped up. Was that Monkey King?
Blink has been finished. I think he did reveal on the top Observer Ward with his blink as he was blinking down from the side shot, but I don't think they were actually looking at it because of this fight that was brewing in the mid lane.
Well, that tier 2 tower still taking a bit of a beating. IG.V are going to ping it out for a bit of a second, but SC able to defend behind his own tier 2. Relative safety, and thanks to that Observer Ward sitting in the mid-river, they are seeing a lot of the movements of IG.V. And in fact, in July, picking up that Invis room was also scouted out. So they try, block, Sentry Ward down, and they actually reveal the Observer Ward that's there by doing so. So no potential ganking of In July getting aggressive under the Invis rune.
And In July was very scared because he doesn't know where the Vengeful Spirit is. KP and Faith are both in a really good spot, like sitting behind the Alchemist, but still out of vision of the potential Observer Ward that was down there. But stacks will be stolen. Sakata not really strong enough to take this out.
No, he's backing up. The Healing Ward couldn't give enough regeneration for him to stay healthy enough that he'd be able to survive a gank from Newbee. And Newbee are enjoying the time. Weaver, again, still having a lot of space up on top. The Alchemist was farming up the mid. It won't have been the fastest flash farming you've seen from an Alchemist, but now he gets a little bit of space. They move back out again. A lot of that aggressive warding of IG Vitality, it doesn't exist anymore. They've switched to 1 defensive ward up on the top lane, and everything else looks pretty dark for him.
So this is a game of trying to hunt the Alchemist down, and IG.V are not successful. So we haven't seen any deaths yet on SCCC. He's been really good about using his scans and playing around his team, sitting in front of the Venge. So now they need to identify alternative targets. I think that they could like feign maneuvers, like maybe pretend they're sitting behind the Timbersaw, but actually go for the Weaver. The Weaver is very, very easy to kill. Maybe they're not comfortable without the Blink Dagger on dogfights, but I think they need to set up the Earth Spirit to get kills on the Weaver so that Weaver also doesn't become an issue, because it already seems like Alchemist is going to be a problem.
Well, they're grouping up, coming in from the Dire Shrine, so it's going to be a smoke gang from IG.V. Try and find that opening, but who's the closest? Right now is the Vengeful Spirit. Faith just running through the mid lane. Chakram flies forward and Faith already feeling spooked, so the Blink Lasso able to connect, and that's one very dead Vengeful Spirit. No way to swap herself out of that. So they just accept the fate. No one else is nearby. They're checking the Ancients, checking everywhere else, but right now it's Monkey King pushing the bottom lane. And Weaver sitting behind the tier 2 tower in mid with the rest of the team.
A smoke for Venge Kill. Radiant have to be happy about that, however, IG.V will...
There's tower as well.
Yeah, I don't know how they fight against this. Looks like Kaka's actually going to come from behind. He TP to the shrine. Is he going to be able to get a good
He should be able to pounce in through the rear. There's no Observer Ward to watch this maneuvering, but you can see Super It's like you feel something is coming, but now into the Wukong's command. Where's the extra support? Able to get the stuns, but a quick Omni Slash destroys the Monkey King. They want more damage. But Cicada, okay, maybe with that disruption, Silence is going to be difficult to move through, but Dogfights mowed down, super into the tree lines. U9 has a time lapse off a lot of that damage done by Paparazzi, but KP with a Blink Dagger, jumping forward on top of the Juggernaut. It should be enough. Cicada will go down. U9 will have the double kill, and leave Paparazzi to timber chain himself back to relative safety underneath the T1 tower. But Concoction flies forward. KP just leaves the amplification up. They're not going to push any further than this. It's just a good fight for Newbee.
That was a really smart play from Kaga. It was a very selfless play. He knows he's going to die. They have so many ways to cut down the trees, and their attention was just way too much focus on to the Monkey King. Disruptor wasn't able to drop a good ulti off because Newbee were able to sweep around from the sides, and U9, the big pickups there, that's going to pave the way for his Lincoln Sphere.
Yeah, really close to it. After farming up this top lane, he'll have it. And then maybe he'll feel a little bit more confident to be that frontliner. Same thing for the Alchemist. You'll see more items coming his way. SC has that armlet plus the Radiance, encroaching onto the Manta style.
It's one of your worries about IG.V, though, is that they just completely avoid you. And then the time lapse is one of the best counters against Lasso. And if Alchemist gets really big, do they have enough damage to kill him? Eventually, I think they should be able to
that jump forward, actually going in on the Alchemist. There's going to be double negative armor. Dogfire trying to create a little bit more trouble, and the Storm is perfect, but the Flame Break pushes them outside of the circle, and the bigger circle is the Wukong's command, created by Kaka. IG Vitality will take the battle towards the north, but with the lasso, SC is quite happy to go along for the ride. It's already 3 kills going the way of Newbee, and Paparazzi very visible. Now he'll actually get, okay, maybe with the amplification being refreshed, SC still happy to fight underneath the shrine. They've already managed to survive through the regeneration with a follow-up stun. Paparazzi pushed down, but Kaka slaps him in. Dogfights turns on the Magnetize with the Flame Break. Is there enough tick damage? Dogfights will fall, but how many will join him in the afterlife in July? Still trying to Firefly up and around. You got Paparazzi back into the fight too, thanks to those Bloodstone charges. It was a low death timer. SC glimpsed out of range of the tower. He can't toggle through that. 50 seconds for him on the sideline. Caught way too deep under the tier 2.
Dang, how many heroes did they lose that fight? It looks like I don't know how long this fight recap lasted, but it wasn't long enough. It was not long enough. I think there were so many deaths on the side of IG Vitality. Only 400 gold for an outkill. That is not that much.
Paparazzi also drops down to 11 Bloodstone charges. I believe he had 18 before that fight began, if I read it correctly. But now he's down to 11.
It's tough. They all just scrambled to try and save him and ended up knocking people out of the kinetic field. Not your ideal
Let's have a quick look at it again. So there's the initial start to all of this. It was the start onto the Timbersaw.
No one inside the Static Storm, and they're forced to run away because of the Monkey King ult, despite him having 0 items. And SCCC, just without the Timbersaw there to actually do damage to him, there's just not enough burst. As Juggernaut, you definitely don't want to Omni Slash him. Not when he's at full HP. He'll just regen it all back up quite easily. But it doesn't seem like they've gotten enough mileage out of like the Batrider, let's say. He had a Smoke Ink onto Avenge. They've only had 1 death on SCCC, and that was only because of a buyback on the Disruptor.
So what do they change up now? Do you look still to in July to be that initiator? Isolate the one person so Omni Slash is useful?
I'm not sure. If they siege, then Newbee can fight them at this point because Alchemist is big enough. And if they try and split farm, then Alchemist is going to farm faster than them. Their Roshan is not particularly good. They don't have any minus armor. Timbersaw is okay at it, but he can just tank it. They can't actually take it out quickly.
With all those options, all you're basically saying is IG.V have to push and take the fights.
Well, I'm trying to look at the least terrible option that they have. That's generally something we have to do. The lesser of multiple evils.
Well, taking out the outside towns is one way to get the money and not fall behind. Restrict the area, get the vision up and running, and let Injuly do his work.
But now they're losing team fights versus Alk, so if they try and control, like, let's say this area of the jungle, Newbee can take a fight.
Well, the Bounty Rune sitting on top of a tree doesn't look right. He'll actually fall down thanks to Injuly with the perfect Firefly, and that's one very dead Monkey King.
It's good old gold there. net worth only looks like 1,500 in favor of Newbee. Newbee on the flip side, like if IG Vitality push bottom, they can just take Roche super easily. Life Stealer, or sorry, Slardar plus any one of their other heroes. Venge is really good. Alpha is really good.
In July, that Invis rune scouts out Faith. U9 sitting right behind him, but in July starts the attack. So with the lasso back, I think you're going to say very goodbye to that Vengeful Spirit. No real way to save him from this, and in fact, you can add the extra silence from the Earth Spirit.
I think IG Vitality is like always settling. It's like, I guess we're going to go for the Vengeful Spirit kill. I guess we have to.
Well, if they waited half a second, they would have seen the Weaver. But that's a lot more of a difficult kill.
You can't go on Weaver. You swap out, sacrifice, then you end up getting the Venge anyways.
Yep.
So it was like, okay, we'll just take the easy route.
Maybe bottom lane they can find Slardar. Like, KP was pretty close towards the tower, but now the Alchemist illusions come in, and Cicada has to deal with just counter-pushing the lane. Mr. Diffusal and Manta style. No quick and simple way to get through these illusions of the Alchemist.
SCCC actually wants to fight quite early too, so after Manta and Radiance, he's going for the Black King bar over the Octarine. So I kind of like this hybrid from the Alchemist. It's not like a full committal to like Armlet plus whatever. Oh yeah, I mean, Roshan is super easy with them.
It's dangerous because they smoked on top of the Dire Observer Ward.
They have Monkey King ulti too, so it's not that bad. They have what, 1, 2, 3, 4 minus armor.
yeah. Okay, there is no danger.
Yeah, especially with Alka Illusion scouting outside, there's no real way for IG Vitality.
They'll have the trade-off, which would be the bottom tier 2 tower. So, A gives Immortal Roshan for Newbee. But IG Vitality will take out the second last remaining outer tower of Newbee.
So how do you deal with an Alchemist that gets this big?
Do you just control the farm areas? Wait till he goes off by himself and gank him?
Venge is almost always sitting behind them, and they also don't have that many smokes. The Alchemists just fan out their illusions, and it's very difficult to gank them. And it looks like Kaka's in front of them right now in case they do try and smoke gank. It's like, okay, yeah, we'll just lose Kaka. They smoke from the east side or the south side, and then Alchemist is going to get out of there too.
They're all TPing out. The Observer Ward's going to be now, yeah, okay, it gets us first a little bit of a vision of Juggernaut moving into the Radiant jungle. But it may also be gem time sometime soon. It's if Newbee want to try and establish just complete vision control on IG.V.
I don't know who would hold it though. I guess the Weaver can hold the gem. I think IG Vitality actually need a gem for the Observer Wards because they're not able to shut down the Alk through ganks at all. So they actually maybe need to make them feel scared through lack of vision, perhaps. There's only one Observer Ward on the map right now. I guess 2 if you count Kaka himself. He's an Observer Ward.
Observer Ward that can cleverly disguise himself as anything he wants to be. He's a pretender.
BKB ready to fight. Their anti-BKB is just Jug, actually. And he went Manta Diffusal. Diffusal not particularly useful.
And now he picked up the Basher, which is coming on the Courier.
Basher is good if you're worried about heroes taking down or using their defensive cooldowns, which is very good versus the Weaver, let's say.
Is he going? He's going these like these half items. Like half items. Like
wait,
he's
where's the Basher?
I believe it's on the Courier.
Okay.
Flying in.
Nice.
Yep, Skull Basher in for the Juggernaut now. But the next thing is quick buy is the Skadi. So no desire to finish up the Abyssal Blade fully just yet. Paparazzi, well, if he really feels an opportunity to fight, he'll Timber Chain himself in, but U9 just focuses on Super on the back line. So much damage. You'll get the Storm down, but they have enough damage to actually kill him off. The Bash is there, the Lincoln Fit triggers, but U9 gets the time lapse out, and now the Wukong command. It surrounds IG Vitality. Paparazzi trying to cut through the trees, but he is not that quick of a chop, chop, chop. As the kick comes through too, Dogfights can't create enough space. Paparazzi, there's your stun from KB, holding him in position. Omniside goes onto the Slardar. He'll fall down as well, but now you've got him stranded. IG, they are trying to back out to their tier 2 tower, but the pounce forward. Kaka going for the jump. He can't get the extra stun, however. Not while U9 and SC are trapped at the tier 2 tower. SC will protect himself from his own concoction. And then they will take that tier 1 tower in the mid.
They were kind of close to getting the Aegis. That's about the only great thing I can say about IG Vitality in that fight. And Monkey King already had a Basher, and Timbersaw could not move inside the Wukong command. That is a very big issue, because if you can't kill the Monkey King, you're forced to run away. And if you can't run away, you're going to lose the fight. So how do they actually fight under this very, very strong ultimate.
That's a good question. Lotus Orb doesn't protect you from that. Neither does Shiva's Guard.
Neither does Armor, neither does BKB.
So the only thing you could potentially do is what, push him out of his own Wukong command?
Ideally, or just kill him really quickly.
That would be the bigger thing, but Juggernaut never really found the opening on him. And losing the Disruptor, you lost your big team fight controller. But they group up now on the bottom lane. That Storm is back up for Disruptor. You do not have the Omni Slash, another 45 seconds. And Magnetai is also being on cooldown. May not be the greatest fight that IG Vitality ever wanted, but Paparazzi is not stopping him. He's going in. Alchemist TP'd out towards the mid lane. And the rest of Newbee understand without the Alchemist, they really don't want to have this fight. Faith, he doesn't get hit by the Shiva's Guard. So Paparazzi, they swap and into the blink. One way to get away. Faith understood it. So did KP. Nice synergy of escape.
Super's not even close to Glimpse. They don't. They want to fight so badly right now, but they just can't. There's nowhere to force. If they try and force high ground, they just lose out because of the Shrines and Alchemist Illusions. The T2 on the left side, it's not really worth it for them. It doesn't really open anything up. And then what other options do they have? Go for Roche. Roche is already dead. Try and farm. You're farming versus Alchemist. So their options are just severely limited. They've blown through so many smokes with hardly yielding anything more than eventual Spirit Kill, and IG Vitality are hard pressed
Activity wants to find the gank. In July, was just trying to Firefly and push this wave quickly. Now Unstable Concoction goes his way. Support's going to be there with the extra stun. They can't just blink in thanks to Firefly that was down, but it won't matter when Batrider is dead. 50 seconds on the sideline. That's basically a guaranteed tier 2 tower, especially considering his life.
Ooh, Batrider is actually going for a Scepter. I don't see that too often.
Remember, they're just feeling he needs so much more control than what he currently offers.
It's like, I want more than just a Venge kill. I want +1 if anyone's standing close enough. The radius is not that large, though. That's the only downside about the Scepter. And I mean, it's pretty decent here. Even if he goes BKB, he still dies to the mass armor. If he goes armor, you'll tank anything, but you won't be able to kill anyone. Scepter, it gives him more survivability. And
that concoction's brewing. Paparazzi, real trouble for him. Lotus Orb's going to actually return it, but the Wukong command makes it, again, difficult for Timbersaw to get back out of, especially when the crush from KP cancels it off. So Paparazzi is now down for 50 seconds. Again, another big window of opportunity for Newbee.
So sad, 5 Bloodstone charges.
Considering he was shy of 20 before and now he's down to 5, yeah, this game has changed for the Timbersaw. Laning phase was the dream, and now this is becoming the nightmare.
Just can't catch anyone. And now he'll finally transition out of the BOTs. I would say he got enough value out of his phase boots.
And then he can start building Aghanim Scepters for the rest of his team.
Yes. Though they actually don't have amazing Acceptors. Slaughter doesn't have one. Vengeance is pretty good.
The Weaver one is the
Weaver
one I'm thinking
one
of.
is also, but Alk hasn't actually even been close to dying in a lot of these fights.
Yep.
So they actually seem like they want to kill the Weaver first, in which case the Ags is not extremely useful. You get more survivability, but you don't actually get too much benefit from casting on other people. But it will be very useful for the high ground siege. And then I would say you just get 2 eggs and then just dump moon charges into people.
Just let Alchemist down the front lines, hit the tower, and then just time-ups him out when IG Vitality do the damage.
Yeah, there's no risk.
Yep.
Very little risk. Unless they jump the Venge. But if they jump the Venge, then you can just time-lapse, and then you still have the defensive swap.
Yep.
So they have like a, kind of 3-way saving going on.
IG Vitality poking around the pit. Roshan's not going to be up for a little bit longer, and the crotch into a Wukong command. Okay, that's a very dead Earth Spirit. And actually standing inside the Wukong command. Okay, no, pouncing out. KP's in trouble. The lasso holding the Slaughter in position. Monkey King has already left, so KP's left to just fend for himself, and only can't really do that. Crushes the wave, but he knows he's dead.
Wow, he used Midas and he bought his 4-stat right before. That's some value. Look at his gold. Oh my goodness, 44 gold. All reliable, I guess, but that's some good stuff.
Efficiency rating. So just under a minute until Roshan is up. IG Vitality really need to look towards that. If we're already talking about the issues of what's happening with the survivability of Newbee, if they do start to high ground siege with the Alchemist, adding an Aegis the Immortal to this is more and more issues. And as he's going to restrict the map now. Push the bottom lane. IG Vitality will not be looking to fight without the lasso.
Yeah, with lasso on cooldown, they pretty much have no almost no hope of saving this tower.
Weaver's in really deep. He's actually sitting on top of IG.V at the moment. U9 looking for the kill onto the Disruptor. The bottom tier 1 tower is being chipped away. But it's not dead just yet, so it could be another denial here if Paparazzi wants to get rid of it. And in fact, they will do so.
Any other avenue for IG.V to come back? I'm trying to think what is the best thing for them to do right now. How do they actually get back in this game?
It seems like the clearance and the push as well. Like you got this single target against the Alchemist, which is there from IG.V, but they can't. Like even when the Mana Style gets triggered, Juggernaut doesn't do enough damage with his Omni Slash.
Yeah, he doesn't do enough damage because he has Scotty. Scotty's better if you want to live and continue to scale. And it's decent for BKB because you can actually keep chasing people, but one of the downsides is you just don't have enough damage. So
unless that turns into a kite game, but if that Aghanim does go to the Weaver, then there is no kite game.
Yeah. I think they have to play actually for the super long game.
Weaver's actually going in for a BKB now, so already has the Lincolns. Going into a BKB, has the casual Orchid, that's what he silenced up the Disruptor with on the bottom lane previously. And Alchemist is actually not going to go for the Aghanim Scepter, he's got the full Assault Cuirass in his quick buy.
Yeah, but he's not dying during BKB. It's really good for Hagron Siege too. So they can end the game, I would say, potentially with that and maybe an Axe.
That Observer also in July, I believe. It's a little bit further up towards the north, but you can see the line has been drawn by Monkey King. Wrap around and come from the northeast. IG.V won't really be expecting to come from behind, and maybe Cicada. No, the Blink Fall. He's able to get the spin, so the Crush won't have its effect, but the Wukong Command, it is down. The Storm is doing its work, but Disruptor pops to U9's Orchid, and Paparazzi's on the run. The Lotus Orb will reflect the concoction back up again, but BKB will protect, and now it's Dogfights who's stuck on the front lines, being attacked by U9. That'll be his double kill. Omni Slash going out. Kaka cops the brunt of most of it. U9 the tail end of it, but SC on the front line. There's your lasso. Hold him there, but the swap out. SC's back in a fighting position, and Paparazzi again. Timber chains up. He actually does manage to launch the chain, but U9's not giving up just yet. The Fuser Blade holding in July in position to allow for his triple kill, and they look for the Ultra, or for the quad at least. It's Paparazzi stunned up. He can't get away. SC will take it, and Invictus Gaming, 4 heroes down, none with buyback, and no way to contest Roshan, which will be the next objective here for Newbee.
Does a really good smoke ink, and Juggernaut had very fast reflexes there. Sakata was able to spin away before he was hit by the Boundless Strike. It could have been even worse for IG Vitality there, but they just have no solution to the Alchemist. Their team fight is just absolutely atrocious. And he has the Shadow Blade on the Monkey King, so Monkey King was able to just invis, and they cannot stop his ultimate. He's just sitting there.
Terrific fight for Newbee. And it really does feel, Alchemist has already done it once before. You stay behind, but you understand how you can just pull yourself back into this game. KP with fantastic stuns. And they just chain him off. They don't even care if they take it themselves while the BKB immunity is up. U9 has freedom. The punching bag can be SC, but there's so much save. It's difficult for IG.V to really target prioritize at all in these fights. And it will be the Aghanim Scepter over on the Weaver.
They can potentially end the game pretty soon. If the game goes super late, like 55, 60 plus minutes, I think IG.V can start to turn things in their favor.
Can they delay it though?
I don't know. But if it theoretically gets to that point, Alchemist is actually going to have slot issues because there's a couple heroes that are just not that great with the Moon Shard. And there's only 2 Ags that he can give to that actually benefit a hero's ultimate.
Everything else will only be stats on Moonshot. Yep.
Yeah, so you gotta think about going 60 plus if you're IG.V. That's when you're gonna win, if you're gonna win.
So then it's defend. It's the Aghanim Scepter for Timbersaw. Double Chakrams. Keep the waves out. Clean up the tree lines if that's what it has to be. Leave the Chakrams up and then just cut the tree lines on the side so Newbee have less options pushing into the base.
Yeah, I think they're going to push base right now, though, with the Aegis and with the freshly completed Ags. Alchemist, this is the strongest that you get. Everything is fairly marginal at this point. I guess Ags on Vengeful Spirit is pretty good, but it's marginal after that. And the gold lead is very favorable for the 20K.
Just shy of it. But Newbee, they're still having issues with Paparazzi cutting the creep wave in the mid, and he is, like, Aghanim Scepter is on the wish list. Yeah. SC now the best support, buying up mass obs and sentry wards for his team.
Too much gold. Keep buying those gems, tomes, everything else.
Well, he can buy the entire Assault Cuirass at the moment. He just won't have buyback if he does it. Yeah, it was a Shadow Blade coming in.
I don't actually think he needs buyback. I guess they've been playing pretty safely though, with the first like the phase boost pickups, and early BKB pickups. Like they've been playing pretty safe. So I would actually be surprised if he did not have buyback money. Let's see, he's at the secret shop right now, so full AC with buyback.
Yep.
And gem.
Just short by 400 now. He bought the gem, but hey, there's the money up on top lane, walking towards him. And it's actually over next to the Observer Ward down bottom lane. You can see that hunting coming in. If they can just reach him. Kaka as well as U9 having a lot of vision around here. And they mostly, the two Observer Wards IG.V committed, they're both watching around the Ancient/Secret Shop area of Newbee. So they don't really see that much of this maneuver as Newbee look to try and push the high ground. And once that Gem of True Sight's on the front lines too, I think they also understand there is no keeping vision here. They lose their last remaining outer tower. And IG.V, this is the testing point. Can they defend? Can they keep Newbee away from their tier 3 tower? Right now, SC is taking a little bit of the damage. Kaka's stun's gonna miss. They 4-star SC in deep. He'll trigger the BKB and just runs after Super. Gets a quick stun. They'll have to shrine up nice and quickly as well. That tier 3 tower being chipped away. U9 and SC doing the work. Fortification is the only thing that really stops them. They glimpse him back into the storm. They can hold him there. The time lapse doesn't pull him out of the storm. It was a little bit too early for it. Now the Wukong command create a little bit of space. Same with the VS swap. It will keep SC alive. Even the bash stun. Sakata can't get the easiest run here, but no one dies for now, including the tier 3 tower.
They can easily have U9 hit the tower. He still has Aegis for a minute, I would say, maybe like 55 seconds.
They just send SC back in to do it. Flame Break can push him around. SC not a healthy man, but KP with the crush. They hold the Juggernaut there. Secondary stun, lasso. All right, that's one way to do it. Pull SC so far in. He's on top of the tower, but again, another time lapse pulls him back into the world of safety. And a Bloodthorn. Oh, that's real trouble. Paparazzi, there's no way you can survive levels of that damage. And this is mid-ranks. No way to stop it. And I'm wondering now, even with the buyback from the Timbersaw, if IG.V can stop this destruction of Newbee. Have to try something in July. No lasso. The kick gonna miss his target. SC still focusing on the rack, still taking it for the team. The Lotus Orbs let the stuns go, but they found their target. They found the Bat Rider in the tree lines. Buyback is available for him, and it's all or nothing. In fact, in July, doesn't even buy back. He calls it right here, right now. Shy of the 40-minute mark. Newbee will take game 1.
Easy, easy out game. Forced out a team to move into your jungle. They read them like a book. It's very easy to sense out those Smoke Kings from SCZC and the rest of the team. I think also Faith played really well. All he had to do was sit behind the Alchemist, don't stray from that too much, and that's exactly what he did. Take a lot of the Smoke Kings, and Newbee make this 1-0.
Yeah, perfect execution for them. And of course, now one game away from removing IG.V from DAC. We're down to the crunch time. This is our third last series of the tournament. We come back for the lower bracket final and grand final tomorrow to see who will actually go up against OG and the other IG team. Of course, Newbee was definitely a bit more of a favorite to come into this one. As Shiva mentioned on the panel, the group stage was very Newbee-sided during that matchup. And IG.V, it looks like we're going back down the same road. Of course, if we'll go the whole way, we'll find out. The experts about it all will be over at the panel.
Yes, thanks very much, Toby. Yes, okay, let's try and break this one down. We'll start with Shiva. Weird game.
Weird game, Alchemist game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in this game, if IG.V, if they were to take it, they'd have to have a very, very good start in this game, and they kind of didn't. I think Newbee just knew exactly what was coming from IG.V and played around it and then just executed.
I think the early bat pick was a little too telling. I don't think it's it's similar to what we saw earlier with EG. They first tuned Enigma, and then the other team was just totally prepared for it. And the Bat Rider, yeah, he got a little bit done in the early game, and he had a pretty, he had a decent laning phase, but at this point of the game, he is like next to zero impact. I think here he lassoed Alchemist. Alchemist is like, Venge is like, I don't even need to swap him. Like, just take him.
Yeah, the Monkey King vision obviously also stopping some of that aggression from Bat Rider. So they were prepared. They were very prepared for it all.
Yeah, we were a bit concerned for KP on the Slaughter, offlane Slaughter not being grabbed up too much, mostly being put in 4. But I mean, he didn't really have to do a whole lot. By the time he got involved, it was just like, okay, he just kind of has to run in and follow the Alchemist, and yeah.
The Timbersaw pick was like kind of cool and kind of creative, but I feel like a lot of times this tournament, when a team kind of has to like pick creatively, they end up just losing pretty badly.
Yeah.
We've seen teams that have really stuck to the meta and have like stayed true, like as Newbee has done in this draft, have a lot of success.
Yeah, and I think normally we see dogfights. He's a very flashy player in the early game. He wasn't able to do as much as we normally see him do on a Monkey King. I feel like Earth Spirit, even though we know it's a great hero for him, he wasn't able to get the start that he wanted, and that also caused in July to not be able to follow up on that tempo that normally we see coming out from dogfights at all. So it kind of was waiting for the inevitable for a long portion of the game. It was just drag out. Alchemist couldn't go high ground yet. IG.V still trying to get their foot in the door, but they never really got a good team fight. I think one of the first fights that Newbee convincingly won was around the 18-minute mark, and that normally shouldn't happen because that's a portion where Alchemists should not be at their strongest yet.
Nah, yeah, well.
Yeah, well.
I don't know. I mean, it's just more the same with Alchemist. He farms a bunch of items and then starts giving ags to his teammates.
You get put in a weird position because you want to pressure so much because you're playing versus the Alchemist, but then you get pressured and it's like, oh my god, we can't even really pressure him. We're end up giving them stuff. I also thought that IG Vitality, because they were under the gun, I felt they're making like a good amount of mistakes too. We saw like Disruptor ult coming down, Flame Break comes through, knocks 2 people out. I think that happened like 2 or 3 times as well, but they probably wouldn't have even been able to get those kills anyway. It was like them just feeling like they need to do so much to pressure.
12-0-10. The standout statistic for the man who is having a very good day, frankly. Good Weaver today. Outstanding Jug in the second game earlier today as well.
They all played really well.
Yeah, they did.
I thought Faith actually had a really great game on Venge. I think he was pretty much always in the right position, always there for the swap when it was needed, and I thought his draft was perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, they picked, he picked the Venge early, they picked the Batrider into it. Jug and Batrider first too. I don't think we're going to see that again.
did do him a few favors in the draft, but regardless of, whether IG.V was doing some kind of like wonky stuff, Faith stuck to his guns and picked the right heroes. Yeah.
I mean, we see EU9 at the MVP there, but definitely honorable mention for Faith as well.
Yeah, maybe Faith wasn't the most valuable player, but I mentioned before that I was a little disappointed in some of his previous performances, and I think that he really stepped it up in this game, and we'll see if that translates into game 2.
Yeah. Looking forward to game 2, Fogged.
Yeah, just not Alchemist. I think we're probably going to see that one getting banned out this time. I don't think there's a reason to really want to be dealing with it. It seems like they're okay with giving the Earth Spirit or giving the Monkey King, giving these type of heroes, so maybe just ban out like Mag, Alk.
Yeah, it's a bit surprising. I think we saw, we mentioned even during the pregame that IG.V was like drafting really well, and they had, they were out drafting some of their opponents and getting, pretty easy games for themselves. And then this one was kind of the opposite. I think they got very out drafted.
The old commentator's curse strikes again.
I don't think he heard us, so I think it's more so on him than us. But
see, I like Peter's logic. That works for me.